Today is January 22nd, the bitter anniversary of Roe v. Wade, whereby a majority of 9 men in black robes took on the role of diviners, essentially. They divined that there was a right to commit abortion in the Constitution, even though abortion is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution, but because of a penumbra or some such thing, it was determined that abortion ought to be legal everywhere, in every state, in every territory belonging to the United States of America. Now, in making the decision that they made, I believe that the Supreme Court of the United States were simply reflecting the preferences of the ruling class. I don't believe that they acted in isolation of larger trends. I don't believe that they had any interest in upholding the law or trying to interpret the law, what the law really is, because the law says absolutely nothing about abortion, and therefore there is no reason why a Supreme Court of a country should decide that abortion should be legal in every state of the Union. Instead, what they should say is, we see nothing in here about abortion. We cannot therefore rule on this subject. Therefore, this goes back to the states. This goes back to lawmakers, and so forth. That would have been a prudent, humble, and wise decision insofar as it would be upholding the Constitution as it stands, which is what judges are supposed to do: uphold the Constitution, uphold the letter of the law, the rule of law. But there has always been, I believe, a certain esoteric law within the law or outside the law, and that the true lawmakers are those who have assumed power over the rest of us illegitimately. And I've talked about this group in some detail in recent videos, and the shape that they took throughout the course of the 20th century. Whether they be big, powerful families like the Bushes or the Rockefellers, or whether they be the groups that suddenly got cleared to come over and work on the space program, even though they had extremely dubious records as far as their wartime activities, or the the formation of the CIA, which there was never any vote to create the Central Intelligence Agency. There's nothing in the Constitution or elsewhere related to law that vests them with this kind of authority that they have have assumed, this extra constitutional authority that they have assumed for ever since their formation. But this is all of a piece. These are our unelected rulers, and those who believe that they have the right to rule the rest of us because they are our rightful superiors, our worshipful masters, if you will. And they're the ones who get to decide who gets to be saved and who has to be culled. And they think of the rest of us who are not them as essentially cattle. or livestock of some kind, but certainly not as true humans. So it must be pointed out that this decision of the Supreme Court cannot be untethered from what I believe is this larger entity, this force that subverted the United States and also much of the West over the course of, well, who knows for how long, really, but definitely over the course of the 20th century, to the point where now we can say with confidence that those who rule us, those who rule us, don't actually represent us. Those who claim to inform us actually set out to misinform us, and on and on down the line. And that's by design, because the most cherished institutions of the land have been subverted, and consciously subverted. So this must be remembered, I think, on this day. We must understand that abortion is a part of this larger skein, if you will. This one particular horrific act. It is an act of depopulation. And it's in some ways it's depopulation boiled down to its very essence, because what else is an abortion but the depopulation of a womb, of a woman's womb, where a child is supposed to be taken care of and kept safe until his or her journey through the birth canal and into the world. But abortion has to be seen alongside other issues that are also important to the ruling class, such as eugenics and depopulation. And since the 60s and the 70s particularly, abortion came to be seen as this liberal issue, to the point now where it's become a part of feminism, and it's become a part of, well, you can't control me. If I'm a woman, I get to decide what to do. I get sexual freedom, and I have bodily autonomy. I won't even dwell too much or put too fine a point on the bodily autonomy issue, given the fact that these same kinds of people, typically, who say abortion is a matter of bodily autonomy, don't say that about the question of getting toxic sludge injected into your veins to fight a quote-unquote pandemic. That's 99.7% non-lethal. But that's a side issue. Let's just stay with the main issue here. Since the 70s, since the passage of Roe v. Wade, since abortion rights became a plank in modern day feminism, first wave feminism, abortion generally was seen as a horror. But the modern day plank of feminism sees abortion as a woman's right to choose what to do with the what do they call it, the clumps of cells that they have within them. What are any of us but clumps of cells, really? I mean, I'm just a clump of cells. You're just a clump of cells. Every animate thing is a clump of cells, including a baby in the womb. But anyway, the things have been twisted in a sense, or things have been inverted, and so now a group like Planned Parenthood, which began as a representative of the the eugenicist, shall we say, right? I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me what you call them, but I guess you would locate them on the right side of the spectrum if they were the ones who were basically, very racist, and who wanted to be sure that certain people who didn't live up to certain criteria could not pass on their genes to the next generation. The human gene pool needed to be improved, and we needed a race of thoroughbreds, and that those who didn't live up to this particular quotient of what they measured to be true humanity, they were just lives unworthy of life and useless eaters and so forth. Now, at the time, they were thought of as being on the right, but since the 60s, 70s, 80s, abortion is more thought of as a left and onward, and since then, abortion has been more construed, and even a group like Planned Parenthood is thought of as being left wing because they're pro abortion, pro euthanasia, pro sexual license, and it's the sexual revolution that in some ways turned things on their head. But the sexual it's all very complicated in any case. The sexual revolution's real task, I believe, was to untether sex, sexual intercourse, sexual contact, to untether that act, that behavior, that drive, to untether it from the procreative drive, and thus contraception came to be the norm. Now, you would think that after contraception was introduced, after the pill, came to be widely used, you would think that would make it so that abortion really wasn't an issue anymore, and yet it became a bigger issue than ever, right? Because the pill was not 100% perfect, and in any case, you needed some kind of fail-safe, so it was believed, just in case a fugitive sperm met a rogue egg, and a child was conceived in spite of the best laid plans of whomever, of eugenicists, the best laid plans of homicidal eugenicists. In spite of that, if life were conceived, then it was believed we needed a kind of failsafe to deal with that, and so abortion got to be more and more seen as a right, quote unquote. Now, in the early days of eugenics, they didn't talk about rights. There was no mention of rights. If rights were mentioned, it was in a collective sense. It was that the human race had a right to preserve itself and not to grow dysgenic, and not to allow those with inferior genes to pollute the gene pool. But things got turned on their head, and now those who call themselves liberal are anything but liberal, are quite illiberal when it comes to the idea of children in the womb. They just become in a manner that defies all reason. They become capricious. It's like if you're pregnant and you want to be pregnant, then it's a child. But if you're pregnant and it's a mistake, and it's a calamity, and you didn't intend to get pregnant, then it's something that needs to be gotten rid of. But I want to insist, even as the marchers are marching through D.C. again, and there's renewed hope, of course, that abortion rights, quote unquote, will actually be restricted in some cases. There are states that have passed laws, and the Supreme Court is hearing decisions now, and there's some who believe that this Supreme Court, this collection of black-robed diviners, is going to be making the right call, as opposed to the ones who were around in 1973. Even as all of this is happening, I think we have to understand that abortion, while I believe very strongly that it is a crime in and of itself, that it is a sin and an injustice and an atrocity in and of itself, I believe it is the taking of innocent human life. But I also think that it can't be, we can't, again, to use the word I used earlier, we can't untether it from wider trends that it is a part of. And the eugenicists are still eugenicists. They're more fugitive in their eugenicism now, but they're still out there, and they are still in control of the discourse. You do not hear on the news, you will not hear stories on the propaganda that they call news. You will not hear stories about how some women want to just become mothers early and have lots of children. That's never shown as a positive good. It's always girls go to school, get a career, and then when you get a little bit old, and then use contraception, ride the CC, as they say, to be a little bit vulgar, but I mean it's accurate. And then when you get into your mid 30s, then maybe get married and think about having a child or two at the most, or maybe just get a pet. It cannot be denied that is the message they're putting out there, and there's no countervailing message, not anywhere in the mainstream. I mean, you have to look to radical places to find venues where it is encouraged, where girls are encouraged to marry and to reproduce. And it's not even a matter of that making it so that that every woman must do that. Every woman must follow that path, because I don't think there's no one path for any of us to follow. But it's very telling that everything they're encouraging us to do, and this is Nowicki's law, I've said it before, everything that they favor, all of the trends that they're pushing, that they're giving oxygen to, every single one of them furthers the cause of eugenics. Every single one. And abortion is a part of all of that. It's part of this skein of issues, which, while uniquely foul in and of itself, I think it's much worse than widespread contraception, for example, as far as the effect that it has on the culture. Nevertheless, it is a part of the depopulation agenda, and I have that. And that is these are my thoughts on the day of the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. God bless everybody out there who took part in the march today. God bless everybody out there who is conscientiously working to end this grave cultural evil. Thanks for watching. My name's Andy Nowicki. Check out my work at altrightnovelist.com. My latest book, The Insurrectionists, can be purchased from terrorhousepress.com.